Hey, this is Subspace Transmissions. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cam.
Cam, are you a Section 31 agent?
I can't tell you.
Well,
actually, I can. I can wear a badge indicating such.
Wait, I thought you were supposed to be part of a clandestine agency. Why would you walk around with a badge and a uniform?
Well, as long as you don't tell anyone.
Oh, okay.
Just don't tell them what the badge means, right?
Well, Cam, what exactly are we referencing here? What's the big news that's coming out this week in Star Trek fandom?
Tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a clip released recently this week, a deleted scene from Star Trek Discovery, showing that Mirror Universe Georgiou was maybe brought into Section 31.
Yeah, so we're actually debating a little bit about whether, Star Trek Discovery and Section 31 even go together.
Right.
I've got a couple issues. I mean, for whatever,
let them fly.
For whatever reason, it did work on Deep Space Nine, and the sense that I got and the way that they established it on Deep Space Nine, it was not a Starfleet organization. It was more of a
right.
Federation organization that would recruit operatives within Starfleet. And I think there's a little bit of retconning that we saw in Enterprise that kind of established, planting seeds about Section 31 within this pre-Federation series.
Right.
And then, of course, they just said explicitly in Star Trek Into Darkness, which takes place in the Kelvin universe, that, this is our Black Ops for Starfleet.
You say that, but Alex Kurtzman, who co-wrote Star Trek Into Darkness, is a producer on Star Trek Discovery. So is he going off his own canon?
As far as Kurtzman figures, he can do anything he wants with the franchise. But
it's true.
Why is it maybe you don't necessarily want to see Discovery take up the reins here and go forward with a Section 31 storyline? One that apparently might actually figure quite heavily into the second season.
Yes, it's quite possible that they're teasing that Season 2 will have a Section 31 subplot or maybe driving force. Who knows? We don't know anything at this point. But, I said before Discovery started, if you want to get me on board for a Season 1 of a new Star Trek series, Klingons isn't the best way to do it.
Been there, done that?
Yeah, and I feel a little bit the same about Section 31. I feel like Section 31, when Deep Space Nine came up with it, was a really brilliant idea to kind of work into that series, which is all about ambiguities and kind of journeying into the gray, into the morally gray territory. I feel like now it's seen as the hardcore cool thing to do, to have Section 31.
This ain't your daddy's Star Trek.
It's like the 90s, where you have all these villains like Bane and Venom and stuff like that. It's whatever's gritty and violent is cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like Discovery already delved a little bit into that, and I worry they're going to do more of that sort of thing.
We were also kind of given the promise that Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery would be kind of going more towards that classic Star Trek feel, those kind of ideals that we'd associate with Star Trek more often than how some people say dark, I would say morbid at times.
Right.
This particular series got. Section 31 kind of seems to be backtracking on it. And I'm also wondering if we're going to have to be exposed to a lot of scenes of Burnham lecturing people about why Section 31 doesn't represent Starfleet or Federation ideals. And I'm just we got a lot of heavy-handed exposition from Burnham, especially in the finale. I just don't know if I can stomach the whole
we are Starfleet.
I don't know if I can stomach another season of this sort of stuff. I want them to be pursuing Starfleet or Federation ideals, not through telling us, but through showing us,
Right.
And I think that's kind of a distinction that is very important with narrative storytelling. But just on the flip side, do we actually know where this deleted scene was supposed to go in the finale camp?
We have no idea.
You and I debated this a while, because we leave Georgiou off, and then we are at this medals ceremony,
right?
Back on Earth. We are Starfleet, and then we find ourselves aboard the Discovery, and then they encounter the Enterprise. So when exactly would Section 31 have been recruiting Georgiou?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about a chronology for the series, but just narratively within that episode. I think this actually would have been a stinger after the credits. I think that's the only thing that really makes sense, as opposed to trying to plant it just somewhere else.
Right, and maybe they just found the cliffhanger was just too strong, so they didn't want to take away from that.
So why cut the scene, Cam, and then why introduce it probably a year before the show is going to come back on air?
Well, they were doing the rounds. Was it WonderCon this
WonderCon,
past
yeah.
week? So they want to show the fans something, I think, and give a sense of what the next season's going to be. Because they talked, it'll be, I think, 13 episodes, they say.
Yeah.
It's going to be more of kind of embrace more of the canon that I think fans want and more of the Star Trekkiness, whatever that means. But they had this footage. This is what they had that they could show them, right? That had not been previously shown. They could show them the menus of the Blu-ray or something like that, but that's not as exciting. So, I mean, it definitely got people talking. It got people excited. I'm just not sure that it's something that is that exciting to me. It's more like
It's not the direction that I want to see Discovery going.
I would have preferred they'd said, like, this was a fun idea we had. It didn't quite work. Because they obviously wanted to work this into season 1. Because you had characters with black badges in, Context is for Kings.
Yeah. And then never saw them ever again.
Never again.
Never even referenced again.
Which makes me then wonder if they were cutting out little bits and pieces throughout the season. Because why else would you show this, have no one really comment on it again, and then have a scene at the very end of the season, possibly left in as a stinger, indicating Section 31?
I mean, I had my own theory early on because that was one of the few Brian Fuller episodes I credited to him for writing. So I figured maybe it was a Brian Fuller idea that they planted early on and then just kind of dropped that idea. I also wonder if maybe they're going back and retconning it and saying, oh, this is Section 31 the entire time.
Right.
It just, I know Kurtzman probably thinks it's a real cool idea. I don't think they understand.
Cool with a K.
Sure. But I don't know if they quite grasp what made Section 31 good in Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Yes. Well, do you think Section 31 is interesting to, like, delve into? Or is it better as sort of this antagonistic force? It's kind of in the shadows.
I'd say keep it into the shadows because the more you delve into something, the less interesting or the less ominous that it often becomes. Like, look at the Klingons. Like, I still am intrigued by the Klingons, but they certainly, I don't know, the more cuddly they got on, say, the Next Generation in Deep Space Nine, I'd say the less fearsome they were.
Or the Borg.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah! With like what Voyager did with like 22 episodes of Borg adventures. There, I mean, not to compare to seeing them on Next Generation like maybe once a season.
Right. And I just thought it was kind of disappointing that they're hinting that Mirror Universe Giorgio is going to be in Section 31.
What is she gonna do?
To me, it was actually a really fun idea of having this character be kind of like this kind of character, kind of like Harry Mudd in the original series, who pops up and is at odds with the morals of Starfleet and kind of can introduce these kind of fun sort of adventures that don't maybe fit into the template of the series necessarily. Take them into interesting, diversions. Throwing her into Section 31 is just like, plug her back into the plot.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not as interesting to me.
I had higher hopes that they'd do something interesting with Giorgio.
Yeah.
My only guess is they wanted to recruit her because she's got like great genocidal ideas. Like she had figured out how to turn Kronos into like a lava pit.
Right.
So maybe they're hoping for more genocidal ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we saw that with the Founders as well. So
Section
31 loves genocide people.